I've said this countless times, like, to me, Trump was someone who, he's always searching for a stronger, better word, and he never finds it. You do Trump, he'll sit there and go, these people, they're great people, they're fantastic people, and I just want to say working with them was a fantastic experience.
Well, Mr. President, I know you're a busy man, so thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me here, Judge Man. Before we begin, I just need to know that I have your undying loyalty.
You don't, sir. Now, let's get started. Clearly, the big story this week is James Comey.
Okay, well, first, all I can just say is that I won the election fair.
Alec Baldwin's Trump impression didn't start. With a bang, it started with a "No way, Jose," but somehow he went from "I can't do this" to "I'm the only one who can do this," becoming the undisputed king of mocking the orange menace. It's like watching a cat caterpillar turned into a butterfly. If butterflies wore bad wigs and shouted fake news while spinning in a tornado, folks, we're diving into the juicy story of how Baldwin became Trump's #1 impersonator, and let me tell you, it's wilder than Trump's hair. In a windstorm picture, this Alec Baldwin is chilling in his fancy New York pad, sipping some overpriced coffee and thinking about his next role. Suddenly the phone rings. It's the folks at Saturday Night Live, and they've got a wild idea. They want Baldwin to play none other than Donald J. Trump himself. At first, Baldwin probably thought, me play that guy, no thanks. After all, mimicking someone as unique as Trump isn't exactly a walk in the park. But then something clicked. Maybe it was the challenge, maybe it was the chance to take down Trump one zinger at a time, or maybe Baldwin just realized that no one else could pull off the combo of smug arrogance, ridiculous hair, and absurdity quite like him, and boy, did he rise to the occasion. What began as a reluctant yes turned into pure comedic gold. Baldwin didn't just imitate Trump, he dissected him, exaggerating every quirk, tick, and outrageous statement until it became a masterclass in satire. From the pouty lips to the tiny hands or lack thereof, Baldwin captured the essence of Trump so perfectly that even the real thing seemed like a pale imitation. It wasn't long before Baldwin's Trump became iconic. Every week audiences tuned in to see what new absurdities he'd lampoon, whether it was Trump's love for Diet Coke, his bizarre rants, or his obsession with being the best. And as Trump continued to dominate headlines, Baldwin's impression grew sharper, funnier, and more biting. So how did Alec Baldwin go from hesitant actor to the ultimate Trump roast master? Simple talent, timing, and a willingness to lean into the absurdity. He took a character so outlandish it felt fictional and made it even more ridiculous, all while keeping it eerily accurate in doing so. Baldwin not only solidified his place in comedy history, but also gave the world a much-needed did laugh during some seriously chaotic times. Now, whenever we think of Trump, Alec Baldwin's version comes to mind, because let's face it, if life imitates art, then Baldwin's Trump might be closer to reality than we ever imagined. Who knew a reluctant impression could become such a cultural phenomenon? Cheers to Alec Baldwin for proving that sometimes the best way to fight chaos is with comedy and a really good wig.
I didn't hate Trump. I just said, I don't want to do that. And Tina and Lauren kind of pushed me, and I do it. And you've seen SNL. And the moment the stage manager takes me to my mark for the first dress rehearsal at 8 o'clock, I had no idea what I was going to do. I never imitated him or had anything to do with it. Lauren called me and said, you want to do this? And I go, no, I don't want to be Trump on TV. And because anytime you have any kind of mimicry, it's usually somebody that you appreciate.
But our boy Alec wasn't having it, not at first anyway. His initial response, a big fat nope. And you might be wondering, why was Baldwin so dead set against playing Trump? Well, let's just say he and Trump weren't exactly planning each other's birthday parties. In fact, Baldwin probably thought about Trump the way most of us think about that weird smell coming from the back of the fridge, something best avoided at all costs. But it wasn't just personal dislike driving his hesitation. Oh no, Baldwin had bigger concerns. He figured trying to imitate the orange menace would be about as enjoyable as getting a root canal while someone played Baby Shark on repeat. Not exactly a recipe for fun, right? So what changed? Was it the promise of fame, money, or maybe even a lifetime supply of spray tan and bad wigs? No, nope, not quite. What happened was simpler yet more profound. Baldwin realized he could turn this reluctant gig into something powerful. Instead of just another impersonation, he saw an opportunity to take aim at the absurdity of Trump's public persona, and in doing so highlight the ridiculousness of it all. Lorne Michaels and the SNL team likely gave him some convincing arguments too. Maybe they reminded him how much impact comedy can have during turbulent times, or maybe they just wore him down with sheer persistence. You try saying no to Lorne Michaels when he really wants something. Whatever the reason, Baldwin eventually caved, and thank goodness he did, because once he stepped into character, Alec Baldwin didn't just play Trump, he became Trump, a cartoonish, exaggerated version that was hilariously spot on with every line, gesture, and fake tan joke. Baldwin turned what could have been a thankless task into pure comedic gold. He leaned into the absurdity, making audiences laugh, while also forcing them to confront the surreal reality of Trump's presidency.
You playing Trump on Saturday Night Live, we've all loved it. It's fantastic. It is fantastic. And you won an Emmy, well-deserved Emmy for it. But in some article, I think it was with Vanity Fair, maybe you said, like, it's like agony.
It's not like agony, it is agony.
Yeah.
In the end, Baldwin's transformation from reluctant participant to master Saturnist wasn't about money or fame. It was about using his talent to make sense of chaos. And let's face it, if anyone could handle the challenge of mocking the most outlandish figure in politics, it was Alec Baldwin.
Love Alec to play you. And then I interviewed Alec, and Alec said he's playing you to make your dream come true, is what he said.
Okay, well.
What do you think of his portrayal? And do you have a message for Alec?
Well, I think I'm a much nicer guy than he's portraying. He's portraying somebody who's very mean and nasty, and I'm not mean and nasty. I think I'm a much nicer person than he's portraying, and so I think it's an inaccurate portrayal of me.
Who knew turning down a role could lead to one of the greatest impressions in TV history. Cheers to Alec for proving that sometimes saying yes to the things you dread can result in pure magic, or at least some seriously good laughs. 2.12 to 22.5 pucker up pout. The result: Baldwin went from Hollywood heartthrob to sentient traffic cone faster than you could say Kofi, but the real magic wasn't in the makeup, it was in the mannerisms. Baldwin studied Trump like a scientist observing a very loud, very confused laugh. Abat the hand gestures, the weirdly aggressive head tilts, the way he said ho like he was trying to swallow a whole meatball. Baldwin nailed it, and here's where it gets even funnier. The more Baldwin played Trump, the angrier Trump got. It was like watching a dog bark at its own reflection, except the dog had nuclear codes and a Twitter addiction. Every SNL skit sent Trump into a social media meltdown, proving that Baldwin had somehow found the president's ultimate kryptonite satire. But this wasn't just comedy, it was a full-blown psychological experiment. Baldwin wasn't just making people laugh, he was holding up a funhouse mirror to the White House. The more exaggerated he got, the more people started realizing, wait, this isn't that exaggerated at all. It was like seeing a cartoon villain and then remembering, oh no, that guy actually runs the country. And let's be real, Baldwin's Trump was the gift that kept on giving. Every absurd tweet, every bizarre press conference, every Sharpie altered hurricane map, Baldwin had fresh material weekly. He wasn't just playing Trump, he was translating him into comedy gold. So what did we learn? That sometimes the best way to deal with chaos is to laugh at it, that a well-timed joke can shake up the world more than a dozen think pieces. And most importantly, that if you ever find a giant red button labeled annoy Trump, you should absolutely, without hesitation, push it. As a cat in a room full of rocking chairs, the man lost it. He went on one of his classic Twitter raids calling SNL unfunny and very unfair, which, let's be honest, is like getting a bad Yelp review from someone who wasn't even at the restaurant. Trump raged. Baldwin doubled down, and America got what can only be described as the strangest comedy political beef of all time.
I have a fantastic relationship with Mexico, okay? I have personally met with the Mexican president. I forget his name. I think it was something like Mr. Guacamole. I'm sorry, excuse me, Senor Guacamole.